They are sixth graders who get 9 weeks of beginning guitar. So, and we're not done with the 9 weeks yet. So they've had roughly 7 weeks of instruction so far. And we see them kind of like 2.5 times a week because of the schedule we have. So these four sixth graders are going to play a few familiar tunes for you, and we're going to start with Hot Cross Buns. I sure hope that Zoom. All right. Hot Cross Buns. So they've just performed their first piece in public. For our second piece, we're going to do one called Pierrot. Now these tunes are relatively simple, but there are a lot of techniques involved in hitting the right notes at the right time in the right way. So that's why we always start with something that doesn't have too many demands. They are doing a right hand technique that is called rest stroke, and they're alternating their index and middle fingers. And on the left hand, they're having to learn to use more than one finger on the frets and press the right one down at the right time and coordinate the two hands. So it isn't absolutely simple, and it takes a few weeks to get used to how all that feels and how it works. Today, and I don't know how I missed this back, being a child of the 70s. Well, I wasn't a child in the 70s, but compared to what I am now, I was. And Paul McCartney and Wings did a recording of Mary Had a Little Lamb. Now, he didn't use the same melody, but he used all the same words and told the whole story of Mary and the Lamb. And it was a typical Paul McCartney and Wings type of song. It was very interesting. And next we have a song that fewer and fewer kids can relate to these days because it's a farm story. It's Go Tell Aunt Rhody, the old gray goose is dead. Nice work. The way our schedule works, we have two classes in the same room at the same time, and so I have to go back and forth between them. And while I'm working with one group, the other group is practicing, and so we end up with kind of a confusing sound in the room. And so when we play, I think I'm hearing it, but there are times when I'm also hearing other stuff going on. So it's really kind of nice to hear them play by themselves tonight, and they're doing a great job. So I'm really pleased with them. Moises, go through that door, okay? All right. And for our last tune with this group, we're going to do Lightly Rode. Yeah, whatever you do, that touch your body. That works. All right, this is our full year beginning class, and they're just about ready for intermediate guitar. They're doing very well. We've had a good time They only play together on concerts because about half of them are in one class and the other half in the other class. So we try to be very careful to rehearse everything exactly the same way for both groups so that it's not confusing for them when we play in front of an audience. So here's the beginning class, and we are going to start with a piece in our book called Duet 8. All of the pieces that we're going to play tonight involve arpeggios. Arpeggios are, think of it as finger picking. It's this kind of, that kind of thing. So they're learning arpeggio techniques now, and all of these pieces incorporate them in one way or another. Again, this first one's just called Duet number 8. All right, this next piece is called Prelude in G Major. The next piece, another arpeggio piece called Study 19. You remember all these from when you were growing up, right? another duet for you, and it's just called Duet 9. But this one actually, I think will recognize the tune. They call it a German folk song, and it's basically the same as O Christmas Tree or O Tannenbaum. It's a little simplified, but it's pretty close. You guys And for our last piece, we're going to do a little more involved thing here. We played the first part of this on the concert before this. And about 2 days before that concert, the writer of the piece sent a second section to it. So we played the first part. We didn't have time to learn the second part when it came in, so we learned it for this one. So what we're going to do is it's made to have the first part play, then the second part, which is the new part, and then go back to the first part. It's called an ABA form, and it's really not that unusual, but he calls it a stranger thing. All right. So these guys are going to head off stage now, and then we're going to bring in the third group. Thank you. We're going to take one of these chairs off. So. All right, we are ready for the final group this evening. These are the Spartan guitars, and they are our most advanced group. And I'm going to say a little bit more about them in a little while. But we are going to start with a piece that I wrote last year during the pandemic, during the lockdown. I wrote a piece that I had been asked to write just before the lockdown, and even though it was for the Guitar New Mexico, which is an organization that promotes guitar education in New Mexico, and they were going to have a summer festival in 2020, and one of my piece was going to be one of the featured pieces, and I was going to do one of the submissions and so forth. Then all that got shut down, and they said, "We'll write it anyway." So I did. And then the following winter, they said, "We would like to use this piece in a virtual concert." And they had gotten hold of the Augustine Foundation, which is an international foundation promoting guitar, and they make guitar strings primarily, but they have some money, and they have been doing virtual concerts that they've been putting together representing different states in the country. Now, not every state in the country has strong guitar education, but New Mexico does. And in fact, New Mexico was the first state to have guitar all-state. There are now 3 or 4 others that do, but we've been doing it for longer than anybody, and we're very proud of that. And in this state, we have a good, strong guitar education program. So, to make a long story short, they said they'd like to use my piece. Well, it was called Soaring, and I had written it about ravens. While I'd take my walks out in the country, the ravens would sometimes come around and talk to me, and I'd talk to them, and they are such great flyers. I don't know if you've ever watched them, but they are really good. And so I wrote this piece called Soaring. Well, it went well, and so I decided that I'd like to do a multi-movement work and make it just one of the pieces of that. So the second piece I wrote is this one. It's called Carryin' On. And if you see the spelling, you'll see a very clever play on words there. And maybe as you listen to this, you'll hear them pecking at some of the roadkill and what have you. So it's a very tasteful piece, it really is. But so anyway, we're starting with Carryin' On from Raven. One, two. All right. Now, Nico Young is going to play for us Here Comes the Sun. All right, next we're going to play a piece. This is very old. This dates back to the mid 1500s. It's a piece by one of the great English Renaissance composers. His name was John Dowland. Excuse me. And he wrote a lot of stuff for royalty, and that's how he made his living. And he was very successful. Wrote hundreds and hundreds of pieces. He was a lute player, and at that time the modern guitar didn't exist, so he played everything on lute. And he was so good that a lot of his songs were pieces that he could play intricate things on his lute and sing the song at the same time. So he was really apparently a tremendous talent. He wrote a whole bunch of what are called lacrimés. Lacrimé is a word that means weeping or tears, crying, and it was, it was all in fashion to cry a lot. With any time there was your baby done left you or whatever, there were a lot of songs written like that. Probably though, considering living conditions in the 1500s, there's a good chance that there was a lot of sorrow in those times too. So this is one of these many lacrimé antiques, old lacrimés, written by John Dowland. All right. Now we have an unusual thing, and I'm very proud of this because it means that some of the alumni from this group have come back to play for us tonight. We have two people who graduated, one, I guess, 4 years ago, right, Tyler? And one who graduated last year, Alex. And why don't you come on up? And their sister, Madeline, and the three of them are going to play a saraband, which is a dance from the Baroque period by J.S. Bach. All right, so I like to see music in the family, and I like to see it continuing after they've left high school. So this is terrific. Sorry. One more time.
I'm so sorry. Let's try this one more time.
This happens.
It's been a while since I've been. Let's try again. Ready? 2 and 3 and.
Now, I know that last week a few of you were up at La Cueva High School and saw us perform with the La Cueva High School Orchestra. And one of the pieces we did was this selection from Star Wars. You're going to have to imagine the string parts tonight because we don't have the orchestra, but I did write it so that it also just works for 4 guitar parts. And so we are going to play for you. And I should say one more thing. Every year until the pandemic, for quite a number of years in a row, we have this tradition of doing a piece, usually a pop-oriented piece or a movie-oriented piece with guitars and the string orchestra. And so it was great fun to get back together to do that this year. And each year I tried to write something new for them, for everybody. And the reason I had to write it is because nobody writes for 4 guitars and 4 guitar parts and string orchestra. It's simply not done. And I guess there just isn't a market for it. So that's why I end up writing all of it. And so it's always a challenge, and we do our best. But these guys are doing a great job here. So we're going to play for you selections from Star Wars. Thank you very much. Before we play our last piece, I would like to make a couple of presentations. And before I do that, many of you know that this is my last year and my final concert with Soda. Hopefully it's not my final concert with anybody, but at least as teacher. I've been teaching for 41 years, and overall it's been a wonderful career. You know, there are always going to be a few bumps in the road now and then, but overall it's been really tremendous, and it's been a hard decision for me, but there are quite a number of reasons why I'm doing it. I want you to know that I have never enjoyed teaching more than I have teaching this group right here. These guys are so special, and so they're just wonderful human beings. Not only are they great players and excellent musicians, but they are also just the best people. They're so easy to work with, and they're so kind and generous and cheerful. I just can't say enough good things about them. And an awful lot of that is due to you and the way you're bringing them up. So, I realize now and then you need a bullwhip, but at least, you've used it tastefully in the right way. I love these kids, and I'm going to miss them. 4 of them are graduating this year, so even if I were still teaching, I'd still miss them. So, would you mind bringing them up? Yes. It says on the inside who's. I have who? Andrea Maldonado. Reeve Winker. Faith Pearson. And Nayeli Vicentes Romero. And the tradition has been every year to give the seniors a symphony bar, because they don't make guitar bars, and so it's the closest I can come musically. And I figure, they'll be fun to eat anyway. And then I also force on them the 2 CDs that my duet partner Bob Dubel and I have recorded, because I have many of them in the garage, and I figure, well, if anybody might ever listen to them, it might be some of my guitar students. And so that's assuming that they have access to a CD player anymore, which is no mean trick sometimes. But anyway, I wanted them to have that, and then there's a little pride in them too. So, congratulations to you guys. You're terrific, and I wish you all the best. It's been a real honor. Now for our last piece, we're going to play something that has kind of been my, I don't know why, but it's sort of been my signature piece for most of my life. I learned it first when I was in the 9th grade back in 1922, and well, it was actually 1968. It was written in 1967. It was a huge hit, and I liked it so much I just had to learn it. And so we played it a few years ago with La Cueva, and then put it away. And then last year, this was the one of the honor groups for Allstate. So we used it in our honor concert, which turned out to be a virtual concert. Some of you may have seen it. And if you did, you know that I got to actually talk to Mason Williams and at that time to get permission to use it and so forth. And it was great fun. So this year, and we did it also with the La Cueva High School Orchestra helping to accompany us on that recording. So we decided that we'd like to do it live because none of these people had ever played it with anyone else before. If you know anything about the process of recording virtually, everyone sits and plays their parts by themselves, and then we put them all together through editing. And so it lacks that personal touch that that we all crave as musicians. And so we played it last week with the orchestra, and now we're going to play it together, just us. Honest, it'll be over soon.
do something really fast. We'll be right back before everybody moves. Just say it.
They just don't think
Promise
yet.
it'll be quick. It'll be quick.
Well, you can do that too. We'd like to present to you a gift of our own. To you, Mr. Jolly.
So we've had Mr. Jolly for about 6 years since we were in 7th grade. I'm gonna start crying, but we would like to give him something because we always know that he's always good with something, and he taught us so much, and I don't know, we just don't deserve it. We're very thankful for everything that he's given us, and we just thank you, Mr. Jolly.
Thank you. Without you, we would have gotten to where we were, and so this is just one big thank you for Mr. Jolly.
Thank you so much. Clearly they want me to get fat. And I'm already on my way, so yeah, that's going to take me at least a week to eat. But
Can't even see all of it, Mr. Jolly.
yeah, oh, wow. Okay, all right. Well, if I don't get through all of it, I'll have some candy left for Halloween. Again, I am just so honored, so pleased. What a wonderful experience this has been.